In this episode of Falmouth in Focus, we take you to the Cape Cod Media Conference at Four Seas. The Museums on the Green shares the meaning of a local tradition, and a look back at the Wampum exhibit at the Cahoon Museum. All this and much more on this edition of Falmouth in Focus. Hello and welcome to Falmouth in Focus, FCTV's current affairs program. I'm Eileen Preston, filling in for Michael Kasparian.
And I am Queen Carberry Banda.
The Cape Cod Media Conference returned to Four Seas campus this year, the first one held in person in 2 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, the event was held at the college's West Bosnabo campus, featuring local and out-of-state media professionals. FCTV was also there. We spoke with the founder of the event, Lisa Zincias, and CAI Radio's Mindy Todd, one of the speakers in attendance.
So I think that the vision to begin with was to allow students to network with people in the industry, to learn from them. And as a person, I've been in the industry for a long time. I was on iHeartRadio, 35 years in radio. And the vision really was to connect media students with media professionals so they can, network for potential jobs, internships, and just learn about the industry. That mission has stayed the same. The media has changed a little bit, absolutely. The media has changed in the way that students are podcasting. Students are doing convergent media, so they're not only just doing a radio show, they're videotaping for YouTube. They're throwing it out on streams. They're doing graphic design. So there's a lot of different aspects. They're doing blogs. So it kind of changed a little bit in that way. It used to be the radio conference, now it's the media conference. This is definitely a networking event, so they're learning from and networking with potential employers, or maybe these people might know somebody that they'd be a perfect match for.
The pay came up, and we said, don't get into this business for the pay. You either love it or leave it. If you don't love it and it's in your blood, then find something else. But I think for young people, with all of the different platforms that are available now, podcasting is huge, right? And I think whatever their passion is, there's room for that, whatever that might be. It could be you're passionate about the ocean and you want to do, stories about the ocean. Or it could be, fiction. You want to create plays, theater. Whatever your passion is, there's certainly going to be an audience for it over some sort of social media platform.
So, what is one thing that you wish you knew before you entered this industry?
I think probably, and I think a lot of young people do struggle with this, is finding your voice. I think in the beginning you're trying to be whatever that program director or that news director wants you to be, and they may not have said this is in your own head. You're like, okay, who am I? And you might try to emulate people that you admire. But you're not them, you're you. So you have to find your voice and be your true self. And I think that's a key to getting a job in this business.
This was the 16th annual Cape Cod Media Conference.
It's time now for FCTV's condensed version of the takeaways from recent municipal meetings. Selections are chosen based on community impact. Springtown meetings spread across 2 evenings last week and began with Acting Town Manager Peter Johnson-Staub being lauded with signs outside, thanking him for his work as Acting Town Manager. One town member addressed the board, noting the budget had benefited greatly from Johnson-Staub's abilities to perform multiple town management roles.
That I would like some sense of the costs that were saved in this fiscal year for the town manager's position that were covered by the assistant town manager, the HR director, whose position was also covered by the assistant town manager, and the finance director's position, which was also covered by the assistant town manager.
I'd have to look that up.
The first evening was dominated by considering a vote to raise funds for $950,000 for 14 new firefighters. Fire Chief Timothy Smith explained.
With our personnel and with what we're trying to achieve, we see that to staff these 6 stations on a daily basis, we require a minimum of 18 personnel to start of the shift, as has been stated. We are budgeted for 78, and we will require 92 personnel to meet our daily minimum of 18 personnel.
The measure passed, and the question will appear on the May 16th town election ballot. The second evening was concerned with water quality, and while a proposed sewer expansion was voted down, the members did vote to upgrade the town's wastewater treatment facility to the tune of $9.5 million. To see the meetings in their entirety, check out Government Channel 15's program schedule at fctv.org. April is National County Government Month, and in honor of that, the chair of the Cape Cod Regional Commissioners for Barnstable County, Mark Forrest, sat down with me for a wide-ranging interview updating us on the proposed Joint Base Cape Cod gun range, water treatment and PFAS pollution, and of course, the Cape Cod Bridge projects.
So 1985 was my very first day on the job. My very first project was addressing groundwater contamination issues in the town of Falmouth. And with Congressman Studs, our principal goal was to get the military to take responsibility for the pollution problems that they were creating. And that's what I worked on. That was my very first issue and project.
So that's the PFAS.
Well, PFAS has become an issue like 30,
Later.
roll the
Okay.
clock ahead 30
Okay.
years and speed it up. We've seen PFAS become an issue. Back then, our detection technology was not good enough to really help us assess that there was a PFAS problem. There was a PFAS problem, but we weren't able to detect it. We could detect in 1985, obviously nitrogen, bacteria, chlorinated solvents,
Jet fuel maybe.
jet fuel,
Yeah.
fuel constituents and things like that. But what we've learned over the years is that just when you think you've got your arms around things, something else pops up.
Keeps it.
And you gotta almost re-engage again. And that's been really the PFAS situation, that pollutant, that problem out at the base in recent years, is that now that our detection technology is so good, we're finding hits of PFAS in a variety of areas, not just outside the base, but also in virtually every community.
To watch Mark Forrest's interview in its entirety, including to hear from the chair of the commissioner's best guess for when the Bourne and Sagamore bridges will be finally finished, tune in to fctv.org Government on Demand page.
After the break, we take you behind the scenes during a food shipment delivery at the Falmouth Service Center. Stay with us. This week at the Falmouth Service Center, we highlight the center's partnership with the Greater Boston Food Bank, who delivers 12,000 pounds of food to the center on a weekly basis.
Yes, at about 6:30 on Tuesday mornings, the shipment arrives at the center. Then volunteers unload the truck and restock the shelves with food for our community. So let's meet some of those special people behind the scenes.
I've been here for a little over 4 years, and in that time I've seen tremendous growth here at the Service Center. So currently at the moment we're serving 500 households per week, and if you go back, say, about 2.5 years ago, we were looking at around 240 households per week, so the numbers have definitely increased. That 500 number per household visits represents around 1,400 individuals. So we've definitely seen an increase here at the Service Center. Tremendous. So we receive our delivery every Tuesday morning around 6:30 from the Greater Boston Food Bank, and we have a great team here on Tuesday mornings. We have around 6 or 7 guys who come in every Tuesday morning. They get here around 6 o'clock, and we are able to get the 12,000 pounds put away and ready for our busy day on Tuesday, and we do that in around 45 minutes. We also act as a distribution point for Mashpee, the Christ the King food pantry, and also the Martha's Vineyard food pantry as well. So altogether on the truck, there's around 28,000 pounds, and we're able to distribute that food out to all 3 agencies. So really a busy Tuesday morning for us. Christ the King, they receive around 7,000 pounds on the truck, and Martha's Vineyard receives around 9,000 pounds on the truck. So that definitely, between ourselves and Martha's Vineyard and Mashpee, there's a tremendous amount of food on that truck, and that's each and every Tuesday, and our team does a wonderful job to be able to get that food out to needy families. That 12,000 pounds that we receive is in addition to, we have other vendors that we receive food from that we purchase. We receive food from Cape Dairy, from Cisco, and a big part would be from Jack and the Beanstalk each and every week. And I would say around 95% of our food that we receive each and every week is gone by Friday.
So that's what we do Tuesday mornings. We unload the truck. They asked me to volunteer to do it, and I said yes. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I haven't been doing it that long. Really was pleasantly surprised by the organization here and just how nice the people are and how receptive they are. The old expression that I was taught was actions speak louder than words, and this helped me do something that was I think is valuable to the community, and it's also really valuable to me because it gives me something to do with a lot of nice people.
I actually was on that team for 5 years, and now I fill in periodically when people are on vacation and so forth. I've been here for 8 years, so I'm here kind of either 4 or 5 days a week. I take care of the grounds, usually on Monday in the warm weather, and then I do whatever is necessary, traffic or cart running or any number of possibilities. I love working with the clients. I've become very good friends with a number of them. We're on a first name basis, and after a number of years you start to know who they are and what their situation is, and that's fun. That's the good part. You get actually contact with the people you're helping, which is super. I was outside working on the grounds one day, and a gentleman stopped by on an off day when we weren't open, and he said, "Thank you very much for volunteering here, because last winter you saved my life." He had no food. He didn't know where he was going to get food. He didn't have a job, and only because of the service center was he able to eat. And it's getting feedback like that that keeps us going.
To catch past episodes featuring the Service Center, please visit fctv.org. Thanks to Seth Harrington for that story.
Now moving on, the museums on the Green recently transferred over their collection of Beebe family archive documents to Highfield. And we wanted to know more about the significance of this addition.
So we sat down with Joanne Ingersoll from Highfield Hall to learn about their latest collection.
Many, many years ago, the investment firm Welch & Forbes was needing to empty out a building, a storage facility in Cambridge called the Metropolitan Storage Warehouse. And one room was filled with these Beebe family papers. And maybe 9 years ago now, somebody from Welch & Forbes called the Historical Society, where Mark Schmidt and Meg Costello took the call, and Meg really took on the call and went up there and spent a few days having to work really fast to glean from whatever she could what was Falmouth related. And these 37 boxes are the result of her hard work and dedication. It was probably 3 years ago. I reached out and asked any chance I could just take a look. And that started this kind of a weekly visit for about 1.5 years. But even in that amount of time, we were able to discern a whole new perspective on the family, a much better and more complete holistic look at this family. The James Madison Beebe family are who we are referring to. He had 7 children. His wife was named Esther. He had only in 1870 come to Falmouth to get away from possibly the city heat. So for a couple of years, they are only on Shore Street, but the father, J.M., buys an initial 90 acres that come up to about where we are now, Highfield Hall. He unfortunately passes away at the very end of 1875. And so that leaves his widow, Esther, and his son, E. Pearson, who it's stated in the will to take over the family business and to run everything. And that is something that he does do. There are other siblings, Emily and Mary Louisa, who are both older than Pearson, and they never marry, but they are the sisters who do live in Highfield Hall once this is built, with Pearson and Franklin, the youngest child of J.M. and Esther. Highfield Hall becomes their summer retreat. And it is built only as a summer house. It doesn't have central heating, although it does have fireplaces. So there is evidence that they were here maybe even right through November. Getting back to the wealth of information from these 37 boxes that the Historical Society, Museums on the Green, transferred to us, we have found in our preliminary searching, I think the very first primary resources that could reveal the true story of these individuals who made up the Beebe family.
Highfield Hall is now working on revising and updating the history of the Beebe family and Highfield Hall to provide visitors with a better understanding of this family and their legacy.
We'll continue to follow on this story and bring you more updates as it develops. After the break, we'll hear more about how the Falmouth Education Foundation is helping students in our community. Stay with us.
Welcome back.
Well, since 2004, the Falmouth Education Foundation has helped to bring dream projects and programs to life in the Falmouth public schools.
In the first full year since COVID, the Falmouth Education Foundation has helped fill student needs in unique ways.
There might be hidden rules in a school now, where we used to think that students came in and knew what to expect in terms of rules and behavior. We're now finding we have to teach that expectation, that there's a home culture that may be very different from what is expected in a school culture.
They did lose so much time. So we're trying to kind of close that gap with all of these extras that aren't really extras, they're necessary.
I think the future's going to ask a lot of different things of these students. They're going to need a broader range of skills going forward. And I think, the high school here, I think, is cognizant of that.
Prior to the pandemic, student anxiety and student depression, you were looking about 1 in 4 students. That has grown to 1 in 3. In consultation with a behaviorist named Jessica Minahan, we are in the 2nd year of implementing a school-wide grant. And what we realized was that we needed better tools to assess how we could work with students, how we could communicate with them, how we could understand the way they were communicating with us, all on that road to creating healthy adults. FEF has been unbelievable in recognizing that we said this was a real need and supporting it.
The kids need that extra socialization time. They were home with just their families for so long and didn't get to interact with their peers. So whenever we can do something like the Soft Starts or a project like the Wax Museum where they can work together and help build those socialization skills, that's tremendous.
Kids can access information anywhere at any time now. So learning looks a lot different and it has a lot more of an independent theme to it. And this allows some independent play, but in a structured way. And I think that carries over to learning in general.
Falmouth Education Foundation is always there. You fill out those mini grant forms and you hear within a couple of days. It's a gift to Falmouth teachers and Falmouth students.
brings books alive. It shows kids that literature can be fun, can be cool, especially if you have an author who is cool and fun, like me. I love my job. I love helping kids imagine a better world through the pages of a book.
The students and even their parents were of a generation where food comes from the store, food comes from a restaurant. It does not necessarily come from the ground. It does not necessarily come from your next door neighbor. So food justice is all about getting people connected to the food that they eat, giving them access to be able to take more ownership over growing and accessing healthy, nutritious food in your communities. It was at that point they connected us to the Falmouth Education Foundation, and we were so amazed that they saw the value in this program right away. And they were like, how can we help? What is it that you need to make this thing happen?
What I'm hearing is our teachers say, I'm struggling with how to get there now. So FEF has now stepped in to support someone like me saying, I need help helping the teachers help the students. Unreal, right? What a great relationship, and what a great thing for our town and for our community and for our kids.
Thank you to Brian Switzer for that video.
Now we take a look back at the Wampum exhibit at the Cahoon Museum.
Wampum, Stories from the Shells of Native American, explores the history, culture, and technique of wampum, a craft handed down from generation to generation.
It all began with a search for a cultural and historical treasure presumed lost since the 17th century. The original wampum belt of Metacomet, also known as King Philip. While Metacomet's beaded wampum masterpiece seems lost to time, a community effort has emerged to research, learn, and create a replica to Metacomet's beaded masterpiece. Residents of Cape Cod had the privilege to view the replica of the famed belt at the Cahoon Museum of American Art in Cotuit as part of the exhibit Wampum, Stories from the Shells of Native America. The exhibit discusses the importance of wampum, what it is, and why it's so important to the community. Text on a museum wall reads, "A belt has a beginning, but not a clear ending, as the story of its people continues." Significant symbols of the Wampanoag culture are woven into the belt to tell the story of the people. Recreating Metacomet's beaded belt was not an easy task. Over 100 members of the local Mashpee, Herring Pond, Assinet, Gayhead, Aquina, and Namaskit Wampanoag tribes participated in the creation. There are over 4,000 beads on the wampum belt, which measures 42 inches long and 9 inches wide. And each one of those purple and white pearls took about 6 to 8 hours to make.
The exhibit was created by Steve and Paula Peters, the owners of local Cape Cod communications consulting firm, Smoky Signals in Mashpee. Please visit their website to find out where you will see this exhibit next.
FCTV wants to remind you that television can be as easy as hitting record on your smartphone.
Would like to invite you, Falmouth residents and visitors, to share your slice of life with us.
Email us your photos and videos or upload them to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram using the hashtag MyFalmouth or Falmouth in Focus to be featured on the show. Thank you to our most recent contributors.
And now we leave you with the sights and sounds of spring on Main Street. Thank you for watching Falmouth in Focus. We'll see you next time.